அனைவருக்கும் வணக்கம். தமிழ் கூறும் நல்லுலகம் இன்று அமைதி திருநாளை கொண்டாடி கொண்டிருக்கின்றது. திருக்குறள் அமைதிக்கு வழிகாட்டும் நம்முடைய உலக இலக்கியமாகும். அதை கொண்டாடும் முகமாக இங்கு வந்திருக்கும் அனைவரையும் தமிழ் கூறும் நல்லுலகத்தையும் மீண்டும் ஒருமுறை வரவேற்கின்றேன். Let us welcome all of you on this day to celebrate peace around the world with us, with Thirukkural, with Thiruvallur. Today is a great day where our chief guest, Professor Federico Mayor Zazango, President, Foundation for Culture of Peace, former UNESCO Director General, joining with us in our journey aiming to introduce Thirukkural as a universal literature. With the great initiative and guidelines of Dr. Armoogum Parsuramen from International Thirukkural Foundation, we could combine our collective efforts towards taking Thirukkural to UNESCO as a universal literature. International Thirukkural Foundation Mauritius and Tamil Valarchi Mandram Sydney initiated and conducted successful international Thirukkural conferences in many parts of the world in the past, with variety of themes after the 2019 Sydney conference, highlighting the underpinning theme, Thirukkural and Peace. That was the start, and then it was followed by an online conference on Thirukkural and multiculturalism. These conferences have increased the confidence of Dr. Armoogum Parsuramen and his team to host monthly events to further strengthen the evidences to take Thirukkural to UNESCO as universal literature, the main focus of the team. Dr. Armoogum Parsuramen initiated the first online Thirukkural and UNESCO series, Valarchi Day 2021, inviting Honorable Mr. Justice R. Mahadevan, High Court of Madras, as our chief guest speaker. We had the privilege of having many eminent scholars from various parts of the world joining us in our signature event of International Thirukkural Foundation, presenting on various aspects of Thirukkural thereafter. Our purpose of these conferences are to identify the role and value of Thirukkural in promoting universality, understand the importance of Thirukkural as a universal literature, creation of action plan to encourage learning Thirukkural among the next generation, to celebrate and promote Thirukkural and Thiruvallur, to take Thirukkural as a universal literature to the UNESCO. Today is another milestone where we have Honorable Mr. Justice R. Mahadevan, High Court of Madras, and Professor Federico Mayor, former UNESCO Director General, with us to have this day a great event. Thank you very much for joining with us. May I now ask Dr. Armoogum Parsuramen to take over. Thank you.
I will invite Mr. Parthasarathy first to make an announcement.
Good evening, all, and thanks for joining this great evening. And we are having the 11th event today, the web series, and this great occasion. Today is a special day. Internationally, we are having an International Day of Peace introduced by United Nations. Today we are going to play a special message from Mr. Antonio Guterres, Secretary General of United Nations, about the International Day of Peace message. And as a human family, we are facing a lot of challenges, a lot of conflicts across the world. And so our mission is very much aligned with the international peace. And today is a very special day that we have to think about the conflicts around us and the peace. So please play the message from Secretary General of UN.
This year's International Day of Peace comes at a crisis point for humanity. COVID-19 has turned our world upside down. Conflicts are spinning out of control, the climate emergency is worsening, inequality and poverty are deepening, and mistrust and division are driving people apart at a time when solidarity and collaboration are needed more than ever. As a human family, we face a stark choice: peace or perpetual peril. We must choose peace. That is why I call for a 24-hour ceasefire today, And by working in solidarity for a lasting, sustainable peace every day, we can tackle the issues facing us. We need peace to urgently deliver life-saving vaccines and treatment for COVID-19. We need peace to recover from the pandemic and rebuild shattered systems and shattered lives. We need peace to level the playing field and reduce inequalities. We need peace to renew trust in one another and faith in facts and science. And we need to make peace with nature, to heal our planet, build a green economy, and achieve our net zero targets. Peace is not a naive dream. It is a light in the darkness, guiding us to the only pathway to a better future for humanity. Let's walk the pathway of peace as if our lives depended on it, because they do. Thank you.
Thank you. I welcome Dr. Parsuramen.
Thank you very much, Partha. Respected Professor Federico Mayor, President of the Foundation for a Culture of Peace and former Director General of UNESCO, respected Honorable Justice R. Mahadevan, Madras High Court, Dr. Chandrika Subramaniyan, President Tamil Valarchi Mandram, Mr. Rajendran, Founder, Voice of Valluvar, and Mr. Parthasarathy, CEO, ValaiTamil, Chennai. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, Vanakkam. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening as we are in different time zones. We've just heard the message from the Secretary General of the UN, and we heard the bell that he rang, on this occasion. Each day, the International Day of Peace is observed around the world on 21st September. The UN General Assembly has declared this as a day devoted to strengthening the ideals of peace. The world cannot go back to what it was. We call on people everywhere to be a part of the transformation for peace by standing up against hatred and discrimination, by caring for the planet, and by showing the global solidarity that is so vital at this time. In 2021, as we heal from the COVID-19 pandemic, we are inspired to think creatively and collectively about how to help everyone recover better, how to build resilience, and how to transform our world into one that is more equal, more just, equitable, inclusive, sustainable, and healthier. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the organizing committee of the International Thirukkural Conference on the overarching theme, Thirukkural in UNESCO for World Peace and Harmony, feel blessed to have the two eminent personalities, namely His Excellency Professor Federico Mayor and Honorable Justice Mahadevan as our eminent speakers at today's 11th International Conference on this very auspicious International Day of Peace 2021. The theme of the conference is Culture of Peace and Thirukkural, with reference to the UNESCO mission of building peace in the minds of men and women. I wish to introduce to you our two speakers. At the outset, let me once again convey our sincere thanks to our two speakers who have honored us with their presence for their participation at this conference. Professor Federico Mayor is a Spanish scientist, scholar, politician, diplomat, and poet. He served as Director General of UNESCO from 1987 to 1999. He is currently the chairman of the Foundation for a Culture of Peace and member of the Honorary Board of the International Decade for the Promotion of a Culture of Peace and Nonviolence for the Children of the World, as well as the Honorary Chairman of the Académie de la Paix. Federico Mayor is an Earth Charter International Commission member equally. Let us look at the origin of the culture of peace concept. Professor Mayor is the man who conceived the concept of culture of peace. The concept of a culture of peace arose at the end of the Cold War. For the first time, the objective for which the United Nations was founded, the abolition of war, had become feasible. The culture of peace concept was developed in 1992 by Professor Federico Mayor at UNESCO as the organization's response to an agenda for peace at the United Nations Security Council. It had first been proposed in the Declaration of Yamoussoukro in Ivory Coast, Côte d'Ivoire, in 1989. It was indeed at the International Congress of UNESCO, held in 1989 in Yamoussoukro, which I attended as Minister of Education of Mauritius, and dedicated to the theme, Peace in the Mind of Man, that UNESCO adopted this vision where peace is more than the end of armed conflict and where peace is a behavior. The Constitution of UNESCO begins with a view to fulfilling the mission of the United Nations of avoiding the scourge of war as follows. Since war begins in the minds of men, it is in the minds of men that the defenses of peace must be constructed, end of quote. Let me quote extracts from the Declaration on Peace in the Minds of Men. Peace is reverence for life. Peace is the most precious possession of humanity. Peace is more than the end of armed conflict. Peace is a mode of behavior. Peace is a deep-rooted commitment to the principles of liberty, justice, equality, and solidarity among all human beings. Peace is also a harmonious partnership of humankind with the environment. End of quote. After his retirement from UNESCO in 1999, Professor Federico Mayo founded the Foundation for a Culture of Peace, through which he continues the task he began as Director General of UNESCO, that of promoting the transition from a culture of violence and force to a culture of peace and tolerance. Each year, the Foundation offers an annual Culture of Peace course in collaboration with the Juan Carlos University of Madrid, with educational content including democracy, human rights, and the origin of conflicts. In December 2000, the Foundation organized an international conference attended by major figures in the struggle for justice, freedom, and peace. At the end of the conference, the Declaration of Madrid was adopted unanimously. Professor Federico Mayo calls for a new world order to extricate humanity from our present dilemma, a new ethical and moral order whose cultural, scientific, and social dimensions balance economic and technology development. For our real goal in life is to improve the quality of life of each and every one of us. This involves new forms of cooperation as the world is now one village. Professor Federico Mayo argued that man is in a state of transformation. From Homo faber, he is on the path to Homo sapiens. Knowledge liberates, and scientists have a crucial role to play. The new order proposed requires the proper use of knowledge, for knowledge, like all else, only exists through humanity and for humanity. It should thus be the focus of our reflection. All power to the imagination, he strongly mentioned. After I sent some publications on Tiruvalluvar and Thirukkural and invited Professor Mayo to be our chief guest at our online international conference, he spontaneously agreed to deliver the talk. He was very touched by the depths of knowledge in Thirukkural and by the quotations on Thirukkural texts by some eminent world personalities. In fact, after going through those quotations, he referred, when he spoke again, he referred to Mahatma Gandhi, quote on Kural, I will quote it, a textbook of indispensable authority on moral life. The maxims of Valluvar have touched my soul. There is none who has given such a treasure of wisdom like him. In fact, Mr. Mayo, who is a great inspired by Gandhi, could see the link here in this quote from Gandhi. And we know that. It's good to note that Leo Tolstoy was inspired by the concept of nonviolence found in the Thirukkural when he read a German version of the book, who in turn instilled the concept in Mahatma Gandhi through a letter to the Hindu when young Gandhi sought his advice. Allow me to refer to a few other quotes on the universality of Thirukkural. Rabindranath Tagore stated, "The ideas of a great Saint Tiruvalluvar will apply not only to India, but the whole world." Former President Abdul Kalam stated, "Thirukkural is considered to provide the code of conduct for the humanity of the planet Earth for all time, which makes the past meet the present and creates the future." Dr. Albert Schweitzer, Nobel Peace Laureate, said, "There hardly exists in the literature of the world a collection of maxims in which we find so much of lofty wisdom." Reverend G.U. Pope stated, "Thirukkural is as clear as an unpolluted spring. Yes, Thirukkural, the unique book, has come to remove the impurities of the world." Dr. Grohl stated, "Thirukkural is truly an apple of gold in a network of silver. No translation can convey any idea of its charming effect." Dr. Camille Zelebel stated, "The Qural, one of the great books of the world, one of those singular emanation of human heart and spirit, which preach positive love and forgiveness and peace." Dr. Alexander Piatigorsky said, "The Qural of Tiruvalluvar is rightly considered as chef-d'oeuvre of both Indian and world literature. This is not only to the great artistic merits of the work, but also, this is most important, to the lofty humane ideas permeating in, which are equally precious to the people of all over the world, of all periods and countries. Tiruvalluvar expresses the importance of living in harmony with the world. I'll quote Qural verse 214. He alone is alive who is in tune with the world. All others are deemed dead. Which means a person who is in harmony with others living in the world is considered alive and living, and the rest are considered dead. Verse 140, who cannot live in harmony with the world, though learned, are fools indeed. Those who cannot live in harmony with the world are fools, regardless of how educated they are. So Thirukkural overtly or covertly derives a pathway to cultural harmony. In fact, it speaks about developing individual characteristics and behaviors in various facets, as an individual person, in a family setting, as a renounced person, as a political leader, as a good citizen, and as a lover. With these words, we are in fact very blessed to have Professor Federico Mayo as our chief guest today. He is an icon for the culture of peace. For me personally, Professor Federico Mayo has been a great friend and mentor during my time as Minister of Education, and I'm also particularly grateful to him for offering me the opportunity to serve UNESCO and mold me into a world citizen. Allow me here to refer to his favorite quote from a letter Mahatma Gandhi wrote to Julian Huxley, first Director General of UNESCO in 1947. I quote, "I learned from my illiterate but wise mother that all rights to be deserved and preserved came from duty well done. Thus, the very right to live accrues to us only when we do the duty of world citizenship." With this introduction on Professor Federico Mayo, I will let me inform you that Professor Federico Mayo was very keen to be with us, but unfortunately today he had an unforeseen circumstances, and he had to attend to a medical appointment. Fortunately, everything is okay, no major problem, but that he could not be present with us physically. He had made it a point to prepare a video message, which we will see immediately after the presentation of Honorable Justice Mahadevan. And he has asked me to convey to all of you his happiness to be part of this great event, and he will continue to give us all his support in the mission that we have embarked upon of taking Thirukkural to UNESCO, to the world. Let me now introduce another distinguished personality whom we are blessed to have as our special guest today. I'm referring to Honorable Justice R. Mahadevan, Judge of the Madras High Court. I have great respect for Justice Mahadevan, for what he symbolizes, for the great work he has done, and for also being a great man with a great human heart and a great sense of service to humanity. Justice Mahadevan served as an additional government pleader, taxes for the Tamil Nadu government, and as additional central government standing counsel and senior panel counsel for the Government of India at Madras High Court. He conducted more than 11,000 cases, out of which more than 500 cases have been reported in prominent law journals. After completion of 25 years of practice, he was elevated as a judge of one of the prestigious chartered high courts of India, the Madras High Court, on 25th, 2013. Justice Mahadevan has rendered many noteworthy judgments with social conscience on various subjects, upholding equality and empowerment of women, freedom of expression and speech, the rights of third gender, preservation of nature, agricultural lands, and the artistic wealth of India in the form of idols, sculptures, etc., and the role of the state to protect and safeguard the fundamental rights enshrined in the Constitution of India. You could see that all these services that he has rendered, it truly make him a good disciple of Valluvar, because he's been inspired in all his judgments. He's been inspired in all his life with Tiruvalluvar, and therefore we are very much blessed and honored to have him with us. But most importantly, I think he has given to the world, he has given to Tamil Nadu, to India, and to the world a unique landmark judgment. And this, I would like to refer to this great landmark judgment that he gave. In fact, a senior citizen in India, Mr. Rajaratnam, concerned about such deteriorating standards, made an appeal to the court to direct the government to rectify the situation by introducing moral education in the schools. He thought that education is the correct tool to catch the young ones and mold their character to make them responsible citizens. He suggested that there could be no better book than Thirukkural, which has been acclaimed by scholars and thinkers world over as a book defying time and space in pronouncing universal values. Honorable Mr. Justice R. Mahadevan of the Madras High Court, India, before whom the case came up for hearing, considered the prayer in the process of doing the erudite scholar judge succinctly brings out the richness of the great work called Thirukkural by profusely quoting from the book. He declares, I quote, the above extracts from Thirukkural are pulsating, and if put into practice, will certainly pave the way for better humans, in turn a better society, in turn a better country, in turn a better nation. Children whose quest for knowledge is unlimited should be drawn into principles at an early age so that they are not deviated. The future of every country lies at the hands of younger generation. It is a duty of the state to show them the rightful path, and there is no better philosophy than what is preached in the Thirukkural and Code. The judgment is a testimony, not only for his erudition, but also for his universal thinking towards a better civilized place to live in. He thus observes in his judgment, I quote, undoubtedly, when the seeds are cultivated early, the result will be fruitful. When the young minds of this country are taught about the moral philosophies and methods as contained in Thirukkural, we can expect a better reformed generation, not only in moral aspect, but also in political and commercial management. That would definitely take the nation into a progressive mode, end of quote. With these words of introduction on our two eminent speakers, I now invite Honorable R. Justice Mahadevan to deliver his a special address at the conference. Respected Justice Mahadevan, the floor is yours now. Thank you very much.